Rar, rar, rar.
This is the weather we're having. Now, I don't mind a bit of rain, but I thought I had a better idea. Um, and as you know, throughout the year, I've been modifying the Interceptor 650 in a way that, you know, that would suit more of my liking. Um, Upgraded things like mirrors, the brake levers and the clutch lever. Uh, no, basically, making it a little bit more premium. Uh, because the Interceptor 650 is the perfect budget bike. I bought it secondhand, so it was only barely 2 years old with 4,500 miles on it. So I had a good deal on it, and it was always my intention to get the bike and to start modifying it to the way that I envisioned it. And every time I did a modification, like I started with upgrading the suspension front and back, the exhaust system to have the AEW 201s on them, and gradually I got to upgrade the bike to have a more classier, clean look, the old style fenders and all that. And every time I made an upgrade, I kind of stood back, looked at the bike to see what would be next. And with the last bits and bobs that I've put on the bike, I kind of felt that I was pretty much nearing completion. Just a couple of things that I want to do, like get this in the orange crush color to tie everything in. But when I'm looking at the bike, these switches, they kind of look cheapish. They kind of look the only thing on the bike that kind of stands out as being budget, and that's fine. That's the whole appeal of the Interceptor 650. If you buy it brand new, you got a really reliable bike, really good engine, and everything works just adequate, and it's an enjoyable bike to ride. But those switches, nah. I always had it in mind to replace these. Now I've been looking on eBay and various sites to get something to replace it, and it was only the last couple of months that I was checking out the Meteor and the Shotgun, and I noticed that the Switch consoles, they were looking way and way better. So I got in touch with Hitchcock's and asked about the switches for the Meteor. And I was advised that they will fit, but the connectors, the wiring is different. So looking at the price, I couldn't even get second-hand modules that look good for the price I got these brand new. They're full metal, aluminium, I reckon. And I think that will just like bring the look of the bike up to exude just a little bit more quality and a little bit more finish. And yeah, if I can use Royal Enfield parts to do that, I certainly will. So this was like a low-cost investment, and no matter with what I would replace them, there would be rewiring involved. So with the weather all bad, it looks like, this is the perfect time to get started on it. So I got some stuff together. Very important is to get a notebook with a pen, a solder iron, some shrink sleeve in different sizes, and what is going to be very handy is these numbered thingies. I will just call them thingies, I can't think of the name, that I can put on the wires to properly identify them. And as I identify them, I will number them and I will write down what each wire does to make it a little bit more easier to switch the connectors over and get the proper functionality out of these new switches. Another thing is with me raising the handlebars, actually the handlebars, the 1969 replica version is quite a bit higher, and the cabling is a little bit taut. And I really wished I had a little bit more longer cabling, so that we have this more neater finish on routing the cable. So what I'll do is I get these switch cubes off, and I will cut the wires with the connectors, because we're going to be using the same connectors that are already in place, and give them a little bit of length, so I have like more play and more length to properly finish these cables off, and that will just like make the overall look of the bike just a lot better, a little bit more qualitatively appealing. So yeah, and usually I don't do these videos. Well, I did in the past on how to do this, how to do that, but most of those type of videos, when I'm thinking of one, I do a quick search on YouTube, and I see it's already done, like a video on how to mount the AEW 201s, or a video about mounting the 1969 style fenders. There are tons of videos about that, but I think I'm going to be the first one to make a video about how to rewire Meteor switch cubes for the Interceptor 650. So I think that's a worthy cause. So as a one-off, we're going to do a how-to video, and let's get cracking. So did I mention you need a multimeter? Now I mentioned you need a multimeter as well. Pretty handy. So the first thing we do, we get rid of the headlight, and then mounted inside the headlight, there's this bracket to keep the cabling all together nice and tight. So just removing that is going to make this job a little bit easier. I've cut all the tie wraps of the wiring, so you can more freely move it about. And on first observation, these connectors, and we're starting just with one side at a time. So this would be the starter button side. And you'll notice that where originally there are two wires coming separately, there's just one wire loom going to the switch. And this one is for your, these are your connectors for your brake light, the front brake. So actually that ends up in this one, and this is the only connector that you can put straight in. So I checked the connector that was there connecting to the brake light switch and this one, and I took my little multimeter to ensure that these contacts go straight through to this. So what we have left are these two, and I'm assuming that one pair might be for the alarm lights, and then one pair would be the regular starter switch, etc. So we're just going to measure that, make sure. So we might just do with just altering this one, and we'll see where we go. We just have to start measuring now. Switch, tension off, tension on. There we go. Now we need to find the starter one. Start. Yeah, there we go. So now we have already successfully identified what we need from here. That means this is left, right? And so that is going to be the alarm lights, the alarm function. Now we don't have that on the Interceptor, but we might install it. But that means we're going to leave this alone and only change this. Okay. So we're going to write down, so brown and white, brown, green, and brown, what's that color? Blue. Now I know the light is terrible, lads, and I'll apologize, but okay, so I've took my mirror off. It just makes it so much easier just to take everything off, feeding it through. And the next step, you need to like loosen up the throttle cables. Now there's going to be like this little rubber sleeve over it, and you can just pull them off. I usually like spray a little bit GT7 in them. Oh yeah, I see. So loosen the one at the back first, because that will give you the most slack. So you push it back just far enough that you can slip this one out, and then you can do the front one. There we go. That's loose. Now, if all is proper, I should be able to pull these guys out. There we go. Now we're going to have like a quick inspection to compare it with the other one, just to see if it's not some odd, strange difference in design. All right, okay. See that, lads? There is a difference. This doesn't turn in with a plug, so we'll have to be inspecting this carefully to see if we can make this work.